So what the fuck is going on? Oh my god, there's so much stuff to talk about.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting again. Mommy and Daddy are fighting again. Mommy and Daddy are fighting again. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
Okay. So we're gonna break this down, and we're not just gonna break down the fuck this studio, fuck
No.
this, blah, blah,
Both
blah.
of them are just like, let me swing my big money D around.
Yes. So we're
I
gonna
just want to
down
play with my friends. I just want to
we're
play with
gonna
my
break down the
toys.
facts. That's right. We all want the Spider-Man to stay in the MCU. We all want that. So let's break down what the hell these two studios are thinking and this tough negotiation. Now, I do want to start off. Negotiations are still open. They have not officially closed it. He is not officially gone yet. So no matter what you read, it's not official yet.
They haven't filed papers for the divorce yet, is what you're saying.
Exactly. They have not filed for divorce. So let's start off with what the original deal was. So the original deal, when they signed in 2015 to share custody, they signed this deal where Sony would put up 100% of all costs for the production. So they would pay for everything when it comes to the movie. They would pay for everything. Marvel would get 100% creative control of the character, the story, and where they go because it interacts with the larger MCU. Now, when it comes to profit, Sony would get 95% of the movie profit, while Marvel would get 5% of the movie profit. But what a lot of people are not mentioning is Disney also gets 100% of the merchandise for Spider-Man.
Right.
Also, they're adding him into the theme parks and all of that extra stuff that goes into play there. So there's a lot that Disney is getting off of not just the money deal. So this deal was signed. Both studios agreed to it. Came into a wonderful partnership. We got our Spidey in the MCU in the third Captain America movie. He got his standalone movies. Been very, very successful so far. It is actually the highest grossing Spider-Man movie of all time. Sony's highest grossing Spider-Man movie of all time.
Sony's highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah, highest grossing movie of all time.
I am the best. I'm the best, and they need to stop this shit. They had 5 chances to make their movie.
Yep.
Marvel does it amazing. Now I'm not gonna side. I'm not gonna side with either.
Right. We're gonna get to the actual number breakdown. So that was the original deal.
Numbers and all that. I just want to play. I just want to play.
Calm down. We're getting there. So the new deal, that was the first deal. They're coming up to the end of that deal. They want to renegotiate. So Disney comes to the table and says, we want 50-50. We will put up 50 of the cost for the production, and we want 50 of the profit from the movie. And Sony said, fuck you. Because Disney didn't offer Sony anything. Like, I'm a huge Disney fan, big Marvel fan, but Disney came to the table and said, hey, we want 50% of the profits. Yeah, we'll pay for 50% of the production. Duh, that just goes with it. But they're not sharing any of the merchandise. They're definitely not going to share anything from the theme parks. Hell no, they're definitely not going to do that. But for them to come to the table as Disney, as the Mouse House, and say, I don't care that you technically own this character. We want 50% of it. Because it's not a true 50-50 partnership. They might put that out there as a 50-50% partnership, but it's not a true 50-50% partnership. Now, they might have gone in high expecting Sony to come back and be like, well, no, we'll do 30. But I think they overshot. Now, the last thing I want to mention when it comes to this new deal is something that a lot of people haven't.
Sony did come back with a counteroffer, and Disney said no. You know that, right?
What was the counteroffer?
There's no word on what it was. But the original story that broke, they've gone back and edited that original story. And they said that originally it was Disney said, this is what we're doing. And Sony's like, fuck off. And then they came back and edited and said, no. Sony actually came back to the table and said, what about this? And then Disney was like, fuck off. So
yeah,
it's
now there is one other piece that Disney came to the table asking for. They came to the table asking for 50%, but willing to put in 50% of the production, which is nothing to Disney because they have so much effing money. Who cares? Like, they're willing to put in 50% of the production cost. Great. It's not anything off of their back. The other piece that Deadline is reporting is, let me make sure I say this right. So it's not just that, but Disney's offer reportedly had to have included all of Spider-Man's live action movies characters, such as Venom, Morbius, all their villains. So Disney was asking for creative control of the other villains as well, and not just Spider-Man. So that's Deadline is reporting that as well. And I think that's where they swung way too far, because literally Sony has nothing else. If you look at Sony's top 5 movies, I think 4 of them are Spider-Man, and they already lost the James Bond franchise to MGM, so they literally have nothing else at that studio that's as big.
They made 5 movies. They didn't have anything prior to this being fucking vigorated by Disney.
Right. But and the original Spider-Man trilogy, as much as people shit on that trilogy, and yes, the third movie was not great.
It did good.
It did. It actually.
It wasn't Fantastic Four. We all know that.
No. God, no. So the first 2 Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, both had like a 93 and a 92 Rotten Tomato score. The third one did get a 60%. But if you look at the actual numbers, Spider-Man 3 made more money than Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man 3 had a total of $890.9 million at the box office. Spider-Man Homecoming did $880. So technically, and then you have the first Spider-Man that did $820, and you had the second Spider-Man that did like $783.
Question.
They were successful, and if they came out now, they would be successful too. They would be $1 billion franchise.
If Papa Sony and Mama Disney don't get their shit together, and this does end up going back to Sony, Papa, will Tom Holland go with?
So Tom Holland is signed on for 2 more movies.
With who?
With Sony.
With Sony. So Tom Holland, regardless of what he wants, would be in a Sony movie.
Yes. Now, we have already seen Spider-Man versus Venom. We've already seen it. It wasn't done well. Why in the world would we want to give them another chance at shitting on the same story? We already gave Fox 2 chances to do Dark Phoenix, and we all see how that turned out. Why would we want them to do the same story again? No, we don't want that. Now, I find it interesting because who do you think leaked the story? Do you think Sony leaked the story, or do you think Disney leaked the story? Because they're still in negotiations, and one of them did it as a power move. But it's unclear on which one.
Honestly, I think both of them think they have the winning hand in a card game.
Yep,
and
they do.
Because both of them think they have the winning hand, they're just doing this number and pushing their money all in and all that kind of shit. When the fans are the ones suffering at the moment. Mm-hmm. I think if you look at it, you can look at it from both sides. Disney's saying all these people want Spider-Man. We've even set up the future of the Iron Man. He's the prodigy son. We set up these multiple movies. It made over $1 billion. We're ready to go. Are you going to be the one, Sony, to take that away from them? Are you going to be the one to heartbreak these fans? That's what Disney thinks. And Sony's like, you did all of this with something you don't even own, and you set all this up. Now, honestly, don't try to take it from us because you're too much of a power-hungry asshole. And if you try to do that, then we're going to put our foot down, and then you're the bad guy. Now, if you look at it, both sides have an argument. But
they do.
What I will say is, what do you think, out of all the memes, out of all the videos, out of all the quotes of, I don't think he would have sacrificed himself if he didn't know you were going to be here after the fact. You know, that kind of shit. If you're seeing all this stuff on the internet, who's portrayed as the bad guy?
Sony is portrayed as the bad guy.
Okay, now, if Sony's portrayed as the bad guy, even though you know it's a even back and forth, that makes me feel like Disney's more of a...
They're a powerhouse.
They got more of a winning hand.
You don't fuck with the mouse. You don't fuck with the mouse house. Like,
I just want to play with my friends. I don't care about all these corporate fucking douchebags.
now they're talking about, like, now there's stuff about, oh, well, if this doesn't work out, Disney will just buy Sony. And I'm like, no fucking way the government's going to let that happen. Disney's already proven this year alone how much of a fucking monopoly they are. It's ridiculous how they've just owned every other studio, and they're just getting more powerful. So it's interesting to see a studio say, hold up, check yourself, Disney. We're not going anywhere, and you can't push us around. So,
is there an offer to be able to just straight up buy Spider-Man?
They could make an offer. Oh, no. So Sony's no way. Sony's never letting go of Spider-Man.
I'm aware of that, but money can change everything. What I'm saying is, they bought the whole Star Wars franchise for $2.4 billion, if I recall.
I thought it was $4 billion.
It could have been 4.2. I don't know. I'm dyslexic. I hang on walls. I see numbers upside down sometimes.
Pretty sure it was $4 billion, but go ahead.
Okay. So if Star Wars, every shooting match is $4 billion, how much am I worth in your eyes?
Oh, but you can't do it that way, because when was Star Wars bought? Like, how long ago was that bought? That was bought a long time ago. Yeah, that was bought a long time ago. Okay. So I don't think that there's a number that Disney could offer that Sony would give it up. Because think about it. If they lost Spider-Man, they don't have anything. They don't have a franchise. They don't have a franchise holding up. Literally, Spider-Man is literally underneath Sony tower, like holding everything up. Like, here you go. Let's keep the lights on.
That sounds like a good business model. It's called putting all your eggs in one basket, right? That sounds like a solid company that we want to trust a serious fucking franchise with when all they have is one.
But we can't, it's not, as fans, we do not, like, we can bitch and complain all we want, but at the end of the day, Sony has stakeholders that they have to go back to and answer to, and none of them are going to say, yeah, it's a good idea to give up Spider-Man. We'll survive without him.
So what's your end result on this? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think a deal is going to be made, or do you think the MCU is going to be like, well, I mean, here's this movie that destroys Universe 616. Let's go over to Universe 602 because we got to redo fucking everything on here, and there's no Spider-Man in this universe. Everyone's gonna be like, "Hey, where's the kid? Oh, I guess he was never in this universe. It's an alternate reality." All this. What's your end result? Are they going to make a deal? Because honestly, I have a feeling that they are gonna make something work.
I feel like they're going to make something work, because there's a lot at stake here besides just the MCU's outlook on it. So on a Sony side, Sony's movies are getting
my web shooters right now.
Some movies that Sony wants to do are getting held up. Like Sinister Six is getting held up because it's put on the shelf because Disney or Sony has to work with Disney's schedule and creative decisions to release other movies. They can't just start throwing out movies there that have to do with Spider-Man.
Before Disney even made this deal, before all this shit, they were setting up Sinister Six and they fucking canned it. Amazing Spider-Man 2, they had everything lined up there. So that was all in Sony's hands. And they're now saying, we would be able to do it if it wasn't for Disney. You were fucking it up in the first place.
Yes, I agree. The Amazing Spider-Mans are the lowest on the list, but you got to think of what they did. Venom made almost $900 million, so they were close to $1 billion.
Cool.
Into the Spider-Verse
won
an Oscar.
It was great.
It won an Oscar.
It was great.
So
Blind Hog finds its slop.
So they have the idea that they're like, oh, we've learned so much from Marvel. We've taken a lot from them. Yes, we've learned from them. Now we know we can do this on our own, so we have more power now. That's what they're thinking in their head. At least in my mind, that's what they're thinking. And they're like, we can walk away, and we know how to make successful Spider-Man movies.
So they're saying they learned a bunch from Marvel, right? And Disney.
They literally said that in their statement. I posted their statement. They made a statement.
If they made you a better person, why wouldn't you pay them a little more?
Because they can't just ask for, Disney can't just come to them and say,
they can't. That's why I think they're just playing hardball. Yeah, they can't because they'll just get their way. It's a little bit of hardball, but as a thank you for saving the one thing holding up our building, here's a little more money. I'd really like that. But at the same time, I understand because Disney is always slinging that mouse D around and they get what they want. So I think this will all result in something being okay in the downfall of it.
I
It's gonna be a week or
see.
two, and then we're gonna hear some
Yeah.
kind of negotiations have progressed and all that kind
Yeah.
of jazz.
With D23 coming up, I'm sure they wanted to resolve before then, but I don't think that they're going to have an answer by then. But it's interesting with the statement that Sony released. Like I said, I posted it on our Twitter page. It basically says they're like, we're very sad that Kevin Feige will no longer have involvement in the Spider-Man franchise. We learned a lot from them, blah blah blah. But we know that he has all these new responsibilities with all these new things coming in, and he can't put something that they don't technically own in the forefront.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you, by the way, for saying Feige's name right, because a lot of people with this being hot news, everybody I've noticed is saying his name fucking wrong. So I appreciate
Really?
that. Yes.
Well,
There's
how
one
do they
that
say
calls
it?
him Feig. I saw a
No.
video. He calls it, I will pull it up. He calls him Feig, and every
That's
time he
so
said it, my heart
sad.
hurt a little bit. I was like, oh.
What? Why would you report on this if you don't even know how to? Like this is Kevin Feige. Are you kidding me?
It's
You
because
don't
it's a
pronounce
hot
his
news
name?
topic that everybody's
Ugh.
talking about, and Twitter's a buzz.
Okay. So the thing I find interesting about this statement is they talk about Kevin Feige's involvement, not Marvel as a whole, not Disney as a whole. They talk about Kevin Feige's involvement. Now, Kevin Feige is responsible for everything Marvel. He's over everything. But there could be a point where he does have to have like somebody below him that actually works with Sony, because maybe he doesn't want to work with Amy Pascal anymore, because he's just like, fuck her, I can't do it anymore. We want to keep Spider-Man. We're gonna get a new deal in place. I'll tell you what I think they should do in a second.
Can't we all just get along?
I know.
I just want to make good movies. I want to be a kid. I want to sing. I want to date Mary Jane. I mean,
yeah. So I think that they're going to come to an agreement. I think something fair would be if they did maybe like 25-75 from cost perspective and profit sharing from the movies, but anything more than that, I think Disney's going to have to cave a little bit on the fact that the merchandise, because think about how many Spider-Man toys and blankets and just shit that sold every day. Disney's racking up a crap ton of money.
Locked up, by the way.
So, oh, great. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have that
So
amazing face again.
I know. I always seem to make the best faces when my screen is up. So I am super pissed about that. Yeah. I'm hoping that will just come on, get updated. Let's go. Hold on. I even turned off my camera and turned it back on. Why does this happen all the time?
Disconnect the call and then come on back. Oh. Ah, the color! She's a Green Goblin! Somebody throwing the fucking jack-o'-lantern at her. Where'd she go? We are Venom.
There we go.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. What was I saying?
You were saying this is whack, yo, and shit's gonna work out.
Oh, so I do think that they're going to make a deal. It could be a 75-25 cost profit sharing, or Disney might have to cave a little bit on the merchandise and share a little bit of the merchandise with them.
Hello.
I don't think the merchandise is going to be anything that they share, which might only resolve in them getting 10, maybe 15% of the profit sharing. So I hope they come to a deal, because at the end of the day, as much as Disney is going to spin this to being Sony's fault, there's going to be the story out there that is literally both their faults.
Yep, we're the people suffering.
Yep.
We're caught in these web of greedy money wanting every fucking penny they can.
Yes. I put up a poll on Twitter about like whose side would you be on, and one of it was like, Sony has the rights, you gotta, they're in the right here. They've they've had the characters, they've done well in the past, they're starting to get better, blah 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 blah. And then I have like, no, Disney deserves more, and then it's like, oh no, Disney's being greedy, and then it's like, no, fuck Sony. Like, those are your choices. Go vote.
Yeah. There's no guessing. We just got to see it develop.
Yeah, I think it will be a little while. I mean, I would love to have an answer by D23, but I don't think that we're gonna have one by then.
Sounds good. All right, thank you for the update. I appreciate it.
Sure.